Call the meeting to order. Before we get started, for all of you guys that are here and new, we have a new member. Linda, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Linda George. I am the new HR director, but I'm not new to the government. I retired last August after working here for 27 years in the law department. Can't say I miss Dave too much. Just wanted to come back.
Okay. Let's get started. All right. Proposed changes. Let's start. Did everybody get the actuary and look at it? Okay. So what say the members as far as the changes for the aged 45 and 20 and the 2.2 multiplier and the permanent occupational? So, what do y'all want to do?
I'm curious what the city thinks.
Nobody want to start?
Do I get to speak for the city? Is
Sure.
that where we are?
I mean,
I think that I will speak for myself because I've not had an opportunity to speak to any of the other representatives from the administration that are on the board. I think that if I personally had a higher level of confidence in the numbers that we're receiving from the actuary and where we've been thus far, this would be an extraordinarily viable option. That being said, I am super concerned where we thought we would be at this point versus where we are now as far as the unfunded liability. And our contributions continue to increase at an exponential rate that I'm not sure is sustainable, and I'm concerned that we are 10 years into a 30-year plan and we continue to change the landscape of what we're looking at. I'm not sure that the first landscape was a good one. So I can't say with any level of certainty that, if we just keep going, we'll be on the right path. That doesn't seem like that was correct either. So that's really disconcerting to me. What I would really hate to do would be to make some significant changes that not only operationally could be extraordinarily detrimental to at least one of our public safety groups, but also that is just based on what I've seen financially in the last 10 years, not necessarily, I don't know. I just don't believe the numbers. That's really where I am. I just don't believe the numbers. So it's a hard decision when you stack up what it could do to the operations of the police department with where we thought we would be financially at this point, and we are not, and then having to rely on those assumptions to move forward. That's where I am personally.
Any other comments?
I kind of have the same concerns, some of the same concerns. I feel like we're moving really fast with this. And I think, I don't trust the numbers either. And I know talking to another board member, they don't trust the numbers either. So if we do go to adopt this, they would ask for clarification or confirmation from another company. And we still have the drop. I personally believe that we should do this and the drop together and see how they interact. Because we don't want to, personally, in talking to a lot of people, they want to drop. So I don't want to, make these changes and then the drop not even be possible at all.
My 2 cents worth. totally agree. These actuaries, I mean, they're just like a worst case, absolute thing that could happen. I think it was a mistake to put the city on this mortgage plan, because when that was done, I mean, we were making great returns. And we all know, especially some of us that's been here a little while, the market is up and down, and the CPI is up and down, and we hadn't had a big correction in quite a while. And I'm not sure that it's over, to be honest with you. I think, I wouldn't be opposed to, extending that deadline, 2043, isn't it?
Yes.
2043 out further. I think that would that would help matters. I mean, that was something that the administration in, 2013 wanted, but I'm not to be quite honest, that was really never put before the pension board. It was basically done by down in Frankfurt. There was a committee, and there was only two board members on it, me and Rock, that was involved in that. And that was a concern that we had then. Now, the good thing is that even Todd says, we're at 70-some%, which is a very healthy pension system, which is a much better than it used to be. And not to just keep saying that, it's only been that way due to the fact that me and 4 other people, forced the city to start paying what they were supposed to pay. They went, 30 years without paying correctly, paying the minimum. We're on the right track. I just, I want, part of me wants to say, I'd like to get something down to the legislature this year. I don't, but reality, I don't see it. We got too much stuff to drop. There's so much stuff that we're going to look at. And being a retiree, you've got to understand that, if you look at the first 2 lines of our pension law, we are here to protect people that went out on retirement, disability, or...
Yep.
And I want to retain officers. We need officers, but so does most of the country. So, my thing is that the way I look at it is the administration and the chiefs and all that need to work on retention. And several things have been, that's happening that doesn't really help the pension plan. I mean, hiring people back, there's no money going into the pension. And let's face it, the pension system is kind of a fancy pyramid scheme, you got to put in at the bottom, to get to the top. But it's here, and my concern is my older people and taking care of them. Now that's where I'm coming from. I'm a Lexingtonian. I was born here, raised here, went to school here, did everything, and it really hurts to see that we're $100 short or more. And I see the pendulum is always swinging left and right. I'm hoping it'll start swinging in the opposite direction a little bit. I think it has to, and I think you're starting to see a little bit of evidence of that. But that's my feeling on it. My feeling on the disabilities, I think it's a little bit too, personally, I think it's too low for me, but I'm retired. So I think it's something that's got to be sold. I don't, I would like to see whatever we come up with and changes. I would like to see what we've always done a lot of times in the past is have the active vote on it and see what they want. Because I know that when we did the, when I came on, we had the straight 75. And 4 years later, I was pushing, we had to change it. Because you got a guy with a 1%, and he's getting 75% the rest of his life. And I had a big fight going from the 60 to 75. It was a little easier dropping it from 60 to 50, instead of, but I don't know, I need, I'm just a chairperson, and I'm a retired person. So let me know what you all think. I mean, the pension is here mainly for you when you leave here.
I see this as the next logical step in trying to make things better. If we don't trust the actuarial company, then we've made 15 years of bad judgments because our advice has been given us bad. Or since 2013, or whatever the difference is, 10 years of bad judgments. So where do we go from here? Do we start by scrapping Kavanaugh McDonald altogether and starting all over? Do we go back to pre-2013 and start over? I mean,
I think
we've got to go. I
think the answer there, the metaphor that was used prior to this, and it's not on my own merit, but is that if I was given a diagnosis or a treatment plan from a doctor about something that was going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars out of my pocket that had some real bearing on my lifestyle, I would probably leave that consultation and seeking another opinion. I think that's probably it. I'll totally agree with what you're saying. Like we've relied on CavMac for a long time. Obviously since I've been here and Todd's been the guy, but I think too, like, we're talking about something where we might be able to spend another $10,000, which is a fairly cheap insurance policy whenever some of these actuarial numbers are going to be wrong, because all actuaries will tell you that every assumption is wrong. Yeah. That moves the dial a lot, and a $10,000 insurance policy by getting a second opinion on something could very easily save us millions of dollars in the long run. So I get that. I also agree too that if this is who we've relied on, I'll also say that we sat in this very room not so long ago on the phone looking at each other, scratching our heads, going, what is he even talking about? And at that moment, we didn't necessarily believe that he was accurate then too, Larry was still here then, and I put a lot of faith in Larry and his numbers, and even he couldn't make sense of it initially. So I don't have I'm not a voting member here in this committee, but I will say that I think the urgency in it, I don't quite understand. And I've started every one of these meetings with my soapbox of the motives of why we're here. And if the motives of why we're here is solely to recruit people, then we're not here for the right reasons. We're here for the solvency of this fund and its fiduciaries to it. And if that's the case, then at what point do we draw the line that recruiting and retention does not fall on our backs? Now, I also, in that same breath, have multiple times said if we can positively or neutrally affect the fund in an effort that grows our recruitment and retention efforts, then sure, that sounds good. So we put these numbers together, and if you go to the last page, you see something that makes it look like we're saving money. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in there too that we could run into, and I also don't think we're doing anything for the retention piece. To Tommy's point, this is a pretty big decision for all the membership. They don't seem to be very eager to run when it comes time for a pension rep, so here I am, year number 7. But putting this out there to the membership to see what their palatability is for this disability change and these changes overall, I think what you're going to actually see is that the membership, being the majority of the Tier 2, the post-2013 changes, are going to probably be in favor of being able to leave here a little bit sooner. again, if I'm trying to win a political contest to take over, then yeah, that's probably a really good look, right? But I don't know what that does for our retention piece. Does it help recruiting? Yeah, I mean, I can see the marketing campaign from both police and fire, we're the only person in the state who's offering a 20-year pension plan, but even that seems like a bit of a sketchy ad, right? Because we're offering a 20-year pension plan that only gives you 45% of your top 3 years. So it's not exactly as you've made it seem. So I wouldn't suggest there's any false advertising, but and I don't have a vote in this. I've had a conversation on multiple phone calls with Matt and both Kevin about this. Spoken to Chief Wells in some form or fashion in the last little bit, but I think it's kind of the position of the fire department, as Matt, he'll probably tell you too. I feel like we're moving this thing a little fast. Wouldn't it look a lot better if we were doing something from the drop perspective, or a reverse drop, or a layering, or something, if we had all those ducks in a row and we presented this in one package versus piecemealing this thing together for the next 4 or 5 years, making changes. We can't really ever understand what changes were positive or negative unless we've had enough time to see the changes and their results. I'll agree that 10 years is probably a little short, but I'll also agree that 10 years ago-ish, we probably didn't make always the best sound decision then either. I feel like there was a lot of duress at that time, and there's not necessarily that now. So that's all I have to say about it.
Just to tie on, one of my concerns also is that, I said earlier, that we're looking to, it seems like we're rushing this. Well, changing from a 20 to a 25, or, those guys, our people are still 10 years out, so we still have some time. So taking that time and making sure that, our numbers are right, that everything we want to do interacts well together, and that we're not, paying robbing Peter, pay Paul, and messing up later down the road.
I just think there's a lot more urgency on the police side. I mean, if we went out tomorrow and shut down 20% of your fire stations, that's kind of where the police is running right now. We're 20% down, and we're dying.
I agree with you 100%, but the job of the pension is not to recruit police.
I understand that, but we also have people walking out the door every day.
Yeah.
Short. Jeremy?
Yes.
Like at the meeting.
I think if you continue to wait, and I don't know if another year is going to be fine or not, but like you're saying, we're 125 sworn short today. That puts us 22. When we signed our contract, we were 103 sworn short. That was November of 21. I think that there's been minimal efforts to help recruitment and retention, and I think that a lot of the downfall with the current pension system is the city's failure to make or keep up with their side of the contract over the years. And then years like last year when you have 53, 56, whatever $1 million surplus, that would be the time to start paying some of that stuff down.
How do you, how do you project the numbers of what the recruitment will be as far as if you decide you want to dial back to a 20-year? What's to say that's not going to attract 3 more people in a deficit of 125?
Absolutely nothing.
No idea.
It's the attempt to make things better. There's just not, compared to other agencies inside Lexington, compared to surrounding agencies of Lexington, we are on the low end for starting pay and definitely for benefits. So if you had something that other agencies didn't have, that would be a way to attract people and keep them from going to other agencies.
Or take them away from other agencies.
And we've been quick on this point. We've been talking about how disability situation needed to be fixed for years. And we've not done anything with it. We keep kicking that can down the road.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we have done it. I mean, we've taken it from 75 down to 60, down to 50.
But it's not stopped the percentage of people going out.
Well,
it's increased.
what it has done in the past, when we make these changes, it'll go down for a few, Susan, it goes down for about 3 or 4 years, right? Somewhere in that neighborhood, and then it's right back up where it is. And
It's lucrative. I mean, why would you not?
oh, yeah, I mean, I'm not denying that. I mean, it is. It's very lucrative. I mean, why do this when you can leave and get 45% for the rest of your life and go out here and do another complete career for another 20, 25 years? And who knows, you may get a pension from there, you know, and all that. I totally get it. But the biggest thing on the pension is not the pension system. It's the administration with this 1% rule. And I've been fighting that since 1992, where all of anybody that's working in police and fire is looked at as a 21-year-old police officer, now an 18 or 19-year-old firefighter, and there's no thought about aging, arthritis, all this stuff. I mean, I can talk about me. I mean, I could have very easily got a disability. I stayed here 35 plus years. Heck, I had back issues, still got back, and they're not getting better. Just from the aging process, I could have got a 1%. But because of who I am, I just couldn't do that. But that's me. And I'm probably a very minority that felt that way. I came on working, and the day I left, I was working. So, the thing that bothers me or worries me is those cases where somebody is really hurt that's going to fall in here and we're going to hurt them. Because I want to take care of that person.
We're keeping those the same. Anything over 20
Right.
whole body impairment rating is currently going to be exactly the same as what we currently have now.
Yeah, I understand.
So we're not
I guess
hurting.
if I only had 15% though, and I legitimately couldn't work. I mean, I don't know what a 15% rating looks like, but
It
varies.
does. It's up to
It varies.
It varies up to the doctor, which is, there is no set. They claim that they're looking at a book. And if you got this, it says your percentage is this as a whole person. But I'm going to tell you, they vary. All of us on the board. I mean, one doctor may say you have a 5%, the next guy says you have a 20%. And supposedly they're reading the same book, doing the same exam. And that happens, And I mean, a person with a 1 to 5% disability could pretty much do almost any job for the police or the fire.
and that may be as simple as changing some of these. I mean, lower to 15% up. I mean, we can do whatever we want. But like I said, like I said, we've been discussing this for a dozen years, and nothing's been done. So we just want to keep putting it off and see where it crashes in the end, or we want to actually do something.
No, I think, I don't want to, of all the people, I don't want to kick it down the road. But I'm not talking to, I don't, most of the people that come to the FOP anymore are retirees. I don't know what the actives want. I would like to, to get some kind of view what they want. If they're acceptable to this, it's not going to cost me, it's not doing anything to me and my retirees. In fact, it may help us a little bit. It may improve the fund.
Well, I know in 2022, we only had 8 people that applied for disability that did not have over 20 years of service. So what I did is I kicked them out because they would get the higher the service to disability. In 2021, we had 11 people that applied for disability that did not have over 20 years of service. Now, for me to go through all of those and figure out it would just take me time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have the spreadsheet, it's just a matter of looking to see what their impairments were, what their injuries were. I mean, the big ones are, the large ones are gonna be lungs. Some of the backs are large. PTSD, heart and lung, those things are gonna be the larger percentages.
Do we know which percentage came from which division?
Yes. I have them designated as police or fire
Okay.
and what their injuries are. So, and I have it back for 2010 going forward.
Okay.
But it's a matter of, you gotta tell me what you want. I can't guess at what you want, so.
You have a list of what these percentage, like the injury percentage rate is. You have a list of what those may look like. That's like an example.
Well, like,
standard
mine
percentage,
have-
whatever your percentage,
Well,
whatever.
my spreadsheet has date of employment, date of retirement, impairment ratings from each doctor, what they got, what percentage, 50, 60, whatever, years of service, whether they're police and fire, and what type of injury, is what my spreadsheet has.
'Cause I look at the percentages and that's one thing, but in my head, I don't know what that really means. Like 11%, okay, but what is brass tacks? What is it 11% injury? Yeah, and I think part of the problem is because it's so varied, we don't really know.
Right, yeah, because it could be, I've
Somebody may have
got,
to retire at 12 and somebody with a 27 may get to stay.
yeah, I have a 13% right shoulder kind of thing.
Yeah.
Depends on if it was reconstructive or if it was just a repair. I don't have that, I would have to look, but I just have the body parts.
I just think it would be helpful for everybody to actually see what the numbers actually mean.
Yeah.
Instead of just a number.
Yeah, that's gonna be,
And that
those,
may have to come from the medical, APA, AMA, whatever.
yeah, it's the AMA guidelines 5th edition,
Yeah.
and that's what they all go with.
Yep. That's right.
It's not as thick as you think, actually. I have the 3rd edition in my office.
In my head, it's like a phone book.
Yeah, in your head it could be a phone book, but it's not that big. So it really,
I just think that'd be beneficial for us to actually see what these numbers actually mean.
yeah,
Because you can't tell, you can't tell. I was over 20% here, I see. And then some people with 11 have a hard time.
yeah.
Just
Just-
necessarily we have to.
Well, whatever the case may be,
Yes.
Yes.
what is it? It's variable.
Yes,
So what is, what
I
is?
can probably give you about 10 of these 19. Within half.
Well,
yeah.
I'm,
So-
I'm in the minority.
All right, Delphi. I want to welcome you. What's your input?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I can tell people have given a lot of thought to the comments that they've made here today, and I'm appreciative of that. I too think we need to take a little bit more time to figure this thing out. I do agree that we need to take a look at the disabilities because they may be perceived as being too easy to get, or they may actually be too easy to get for some circumstances. Whether that's ultimately looking at, as I think you stated, Tommy, having the division directors decide, can we allocate these bodies that aren't cleared for truck duty or patrol duty or whatever those things are? Can they work with HR to figure out if there's accommodations? Maybe the law department weighs in on how that looks. But I also think we need to figure out, we talk about the recruitment aspect, and that's basically putting people in the front side of the pipeline. We have to figure some way out, in my opinion, of encouraging people to stay here just a little bit longer. And whether that's, we talked some things about it, a multiplier difference or some kind of, lump sum option or something. And I think we still have time to look at that. And I say that because we all know that it's a budget session. We don't have anything drafted currently. And it's going to be a heavy lift to get something through the legislature because it's going to have to go before the Public Pension Oversight Board. And they have 3 meetings left this year. That doesn't mean, though, I don't think we should put a pause on this and wait till the session ends in May and start again. Because I think we need to continue going forward, look at some options, whether, Trey mentioned the reverse drop or the partial lump sum or whatever the case might be, to stem people on the backside. Maybe it's even an insurance enhancement. I don't know, but there's a lot of examples out there for us to look at. And we won't know the impact until we make a change, and that's what these 5-year periods are for. I do like the concept that was brought up prior, I think, by Todd, of this layered amortization. The reality is that hasn't meant a whole lot to us thus far because all the changes that we've made were still within a 20-year period. And most of the time now, when they start doing this layered amortization, they add 20 more for that piece, 20 more. Well, the reality is when we started in 20, we still had 30 years out, and then 18, so, we just are now getting to the 20. So any change we make forward, if we layer amortize, will give some smoothing. The other thing to consider, and of course you don't know what the future holds, we had a pretty tough market year in 2022, and that's reflective of like a $39 million hit to the actuarial value in 2025, I think, 4 or 5. The reality is some of what really was a kick-butt year over this last year is going to be realized too. So that's going to even, if we give it 6 months and we get the next CAVMAC or whoever is actuary report back, we'll see a little bit how those undulations smooth out. And if we have something that's a little bit better of something that we can all stomach, then I think that makes our decision to go forward even easier.
And Todd did stress, when I talked to him last week, when he gave us this, is that if we're making any changes, that we honestly need to look at doing what KPPA is doing probably with the layering. If you're going to make these changes, you need to go ahead and do that as well.
And
he was very strong for that.
And I know probably with it being budget season for the city side, figuring out what layered amortization does to a pay schedule in addition to trying to put a budget packet together might be a little heavy. So maybe it makes sense to, like I say, basically make this our interim period so that we're hitting the ground running with the bill filed in January, 3rd or 5th or whatever it is of next year. That's where I think I would like to be. I think some of these pieces that are in this packet need a little bit of refinement and touching up.
What say the committee? What do you want to do? If we're going to do some refining to some of this, then we need to discuss it or have ideas. I mean, let's be realistic. There is no magic wand that's going to take care of everything.
One of the things I'm interested to know, and I don't know how this works because I think it needs input from the entire board, is we've been discussing from a union side, somewhat from an active side, as much as you guys can glean from your folks, retiree side, a little bit on the administration side, but I would be interested to hear the conversation around what it would do operationally from the chiefs, what their thoughts are, because I feel like that is a big piece that if we don't address could come back and be a problem, major problem in the future. And I don't know if that means we ask them to come to a subcommittee meeting or if we talk about, not necessarily put anything up for a vote, but, just have the conversation and a report out. This is what the subcommittee's looking at. We need some thoughts or direction or, even to the whole how to make space for people that can't ride the truck but can do, X, Y, or Z. Revisit that conversation. I don't know how we do that in the context of this work.
I know.
Haven't been here long enough to just see that. But, I think that input would be really valuable and important, particularly if we were looking at moving something forward.
I would say invite them to one of our meetings.
I have no problem with that, Rock.
I agree with her completely. I would suggest it be at the subcommittee level, and we prep them ahead of time with what we want to know, so they don't just come in here and we pepper them with questions and they go, give me a week.
Right.
I mean, at least an idea of what we're talking about so that they can get prepared.
You know, one of the, you know,
And if they bring an assistant, they have to furnish.
A conference room. If they bring an assistant, they need a new conference room. We don't have enough room.
you know, having gone through this on several occasions, you know, I totally agree with you. I fully, you know, in the past, what the chiefs have told us is in case of that, you know,
Yeah.
catastrophic situation, huge riot, earthquake, burn down Lexington or whatever, they want to be able to have 100% to be able to work. That sounds all good and dandy. But we all know, since we work there, that that's not the way it is. There are many, you can't put 100% of the men on the front line. You've got to have people in the background doing a lot of things that somebody with a small disability could very easily do. You know, on the police side, you know, doing the paperwork for arrest, transporting, bringing supplies, moving men, you know, people around. Same with the fire department, doing the same thing. And they've always held, no, they want to be able to call on 100%. Now, times may be changing. That's why I would like, you know, personally, I would like to have them in here and talk to them about it. Because what gets me is, you know, and we have to look at CERS, because it's the one in the state, we're the oddball. They do it. And they do it with smaller departments, a lot smaller than we are. And, you know, in my understanding, you know, and they may have changed it, I haven't kept up with CERS hard enough keeping up with us, is that they go out and look at every job instead of one and one. And, you know, and what if you put in for a disability, they say, okay, you can do 95% of the job, you can't do this. Well, put them in here. And that's what they do. And that's why their disability rate is like 9%, and ours is 39, almost 40%. And you know, they're, you know, and something that you have to look at. I mean, you know, I try not to, but the public looking at this, saying they're 9, you're 40. What the heck are you going on here? Now, granted, we got a lot of people that could have went out on, you know, on time, and then they convert back to the disability. And those guys usually are not hurting us. They really aren't. But it's hard to explain to the public. You know, there is a different.
Yeah, but Tommy, they're doing it for a reason. You know, I mean.
Well, sure they are. It's financially. I mean, I'm stupid. I should have went out on disability. It would have saved me a lot of tax.
I'll spare you my line of questioning, but it's hurting somebody, and that somebody is the governing body of this pension fund.
Right.
So.
Well, it depends on, back to what Tommy was saying, there's a magic formula, and for the sake of talking, it's 19 and a half years. It's somewhere, if you do service of 19 and a half years and go out on service and change it to disability, it costs the pension fund zero, nada. Now, if you go out on 5 years of service,
Oh yeah, that hurts.
and go out on disability, you hurt us forever. So these people that are changing their service to disability after that magic number of 19 whatever, they're getting an income tax benefit as well as some other benefits, but none of it comes from this fund.
Yes, you know,
I agree with that.
if you're hurting anybody, you're hurting the state, you're hurting the federal government, and all that. But it is not hurting this pension.
I get that, but again, who do we answer to when we want these changes?
I know.
Okay.
So is that just as simple as saying, instead of having it 1%, that we change it to 10%, or?
I don't know. Guys, you work with these people. I don't know.
Just to for clarity of the question, that you couldn't leave with less than a 10%? Now, there was case law that one could get you out, correct? Or is that divisional driven?
That's divisional. I mean, that's the administrative.
Okay.
That's administrative. The only thing that is court-related is the fact that if you retire on service, you can come back.
So that's what the
court.
says.
Yes, that's a court case. Ben Franklin. I know it well.
General business.
And we have to look at it.
Yeah.
And we tried not to look at it.
Gotcha.
And it got reversed real quick.
Gotcha. I didn't understand.
Okay? It's a Franklin case. So,
And
we have to do that.
And he didn't even convert.
and he didn't even convert because he was going to go back to his, because you go out on your last rate of pay, and he had been out for several years, and, he thought he would get his COLAs and so forth that he was getting, his raises, and found out he was going to make less, even with taxes, than keeping where he was at.
So I guess, instead of beating around the bush, I'm just gonna go out and just kind of play it out here. Is it the pleasure of this subcommittee to continue to work on this and not take anything to Frankfurt this session? So I guess that is the main question.
Okay.
Because we can, if it is,
Okay.
Glenda just stepped out, so.
Let me direct this to the members of the board, okay? You're a member. What do you think?
That's what I think.
Okay.
I think we wait and keep working on it.
Brad?
I think we gotta do something. If we wait till we're 100% satisfied, we'll never be ready.
You don't think we're there now?
I think we're mostly there.
Yes or no?
No.
Poor Glenda done,
She has no clue what's coming.
He's
All right,
getting
Glenda.
it thrown in her lap, I feel sorry for it. But what we were discussing is whether we try to go ahead and present something this year or continue working on this until we get what we feel is very comfortable. And you not being here, and this is directed just to the board, the committee members. And basically, she thinks we need to get it, work on it longer, so does, and who else is on the committee besides Brad?
Glenda and yourself.
Yeah.
Brad said no.
Brad
Eric
said
said
no.
yes. Matt said yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To
already.
extend.
That's what I think. We need to work on it longer.
To
but I just
extend.
wasn't
To
thinking.
extend, yes.
I should
Okay.
clarify.
I was just listening.
All right.
Did she say yes to extend?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't hear it.
And just, since I'm a voting member also and everything, I agree. I think we need to, I'd like to see what poll the actives and see what their thoughts are on it.
We'll work on a pool for fire at least to ask questions.
We can create a survey pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You get a pretty good response on it.
All right.
We want to use what we have here for that survey or something different?
Well, I mean, Jeremy, I don't, I don't care if you want, you can put this, I think you need to put this out. And if you want to put out something, different,
I think you put this out, honestly. I mean, if this is what,
and if they say no, then we know we're going to have to change.
because I know that anytime we take anything to Frankfurt that's going to impact actives, we always get them to vote prior to it going to Frankfurt. So, I mean, we can at least put this out there, gauge it, see how they feel about it. And then if we have to tweak it, we just do another one.
I agree.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
when you started this off, several of you all said you didn't trust this actuary. Would, if by going with this, you do trust this actuary, I would think the first order would be to figure out what we're going to do with this actuary. And that's likely going to mean going back to the full board and asking for more money to go to another actuary.
Well, it's going to be an RFP. You're going to have to send out an RFP. I mean, if you're not,
Oh, that's right, because we're going to a different.
if you don't like CAVMAC, then you're going to have to get an RFP out there, get results back, interview. I mean, it's not an easy task, and it's not something that's going to be quick. So it's a good
It is 6 months minimum.
4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean,
So then you do like this actuary?
Well, I mean, obviously not on the committee, but if we've decided not to advance something this legislative session, we have 4 to 6 months.
yeah.
Legitimately though, is there a reason that we don't trust the people that we've been using for 20 years or 10 years?
No, we've, let's see, we changed. When did we change?
Oh, years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a very long time.
Because we were doing,
Mercer.
Mercer.
So,
Yeah.
we've had
We've had it
CAVMAC.
since Mercer?
Yes, we've had CAVMAC for years.
yeah.
And CAVMAC has been doing the city retiree group. And I thought they were doing stuff for the city at one point, but I don't know if that's a true statement or not. But we've had them a good 10 plus years.
So is there anything that can point in the direction of they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or their numbers aren't accurate?
The only reason that I have the reservation that I have is going back and historically looking at what was presented in 2013 when we made all these changes. What we thought was going to fix it, changing the employer and the employee contributions, where our unfunded liability was, where they thought we would be at this point. And we're not even close. I mean, we're not even in the ballpark. The whole conversation of, yeah, but you were just paying on the interest of the principal of the house. Well, yeah, and the principal of the house has doubled, in addition to the fact that we've been paying down the interest. So it's not that I'm judging CAVMAC against somebody else and they're on different assumptions. I'm judging CAVMAC based on CAVMAC. And we're not anywhere close to where they thought we were going to be. Not remotely.
Has the city made the appropriate payments since the 2013?
They have.
They have, as far as I'm aware.
2013, since 2013, yeah.
Do you know what percentage were off of their estimates or anything? Or?
We were
It's like
supposed to be
double.
down to like a 20% contribution or something, and we're going to be at 47 and a half or 48.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we?
If you're basing this on the 2013, what was his name? The mayor's
Yes,
assistant?
Shapiro.
Shapiro.
Yes.
It is my opinion that there was never an actuary for any of the proposals done there. The reason I say that is I know they did not do one on the, at 85% you can go back to on cost of living. And it happened so quickly that I just don't think they had
They
time.
use PFM.
PFM.
They use PFM for that.
Okay.
I went and pulled
Not our
the actuarial report from the period after the pension changes to now and where they thought we would be, and took a look at, okay, 10 years in, our unfunded liability should be here, our contribution rate should be X, and we're so far off the mark.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, trying to, is that the city's rate of pay should be going down instead of
That's correct.
going up as rapidly as it is, and it
Yeah.
is going up rapidly.
Which, I mean, even that, they can't anticipate the raises that we've given. They can't anticipate where our rate of return was going to be. We changed our rate of return
Right.
to be lower based on the market. I absolutely was in that conversation. I think it would have been extraordinarily optimistic to think that we could continue. But either way, if we are continuing at a much higher rate of return, great. We'll pay it off faster. Worst case scenario, we're in better shape than we began, as opposed to the other way around where you just stick your head in the sand and ignore that maybe you're a little optimistic and you're left with a huge liability at the end of the day. So all of that, taking all of that into account, I understand that all of the assumptions have changed. And if we had only been, if we were making some headway, but it wasn't even as close, we were supposed to be at $300 million unfunded and we were at, 350. That at least would be something. But we were supposed to be at 100 and something and we're at 384. So it's not even remotely close. We're not even in the same ballpark. as where we thought we would be. So that is my whole hesitation with the numbers. And when we were brought the ghost time calculations, and the mortality tables change, people are living longer, you're going to be paying it out for longer, your rate of return assumption is lower, and yet people were having to pay in less to get that benefit longer, and that didn't make any sense. Just gut check wise, it just didn't make any sense. And so I do think that there was some doubt that was introduced with that. We said, yep, we agree, you know what, we don't like it, we don't understand it, none of us sitting around the table feel great and confident about it, but we've used them forever, and you know, we can't just discard 15 years worth of information. Well, now this is the second thing that's coming back that just gut check wise doesn't make sense to me. This just doesn't make sense to me. That it can be that monumental of a change that we had to go from 20 to 25. We had to increase the employer's rate. We had to increase the employee's rate. And yet, we're going to save all this money because of the disabilities that are a partial portion of our pension plan. That it just, something just doesn't gut check right to me. And I'm not an actuary. I don't profess to be one. It just, in light of where we thought we'd be and we're not, the gut check is just not there for me. And I'm just...
May I have your attention, please? We are testing the alarm system. Please disregard any alarms.
How come that's every time?
Always testing the alarm system.
And it's always at our committee.
Well, you just must be lucky.
And we're going to go to work. Does not having 125 people contributing to the pension help or hurt from the city side? For the unfunded liability?
So actually, it's really not much different because the amount of pay has gone up so significantly for the people that we are contributing on. The amount that's being contributed isn't much different. If you look back at the experience, or not the experience study, but the most recent analysis that they did, the amount that has gone up for the employees existing is $8,600 on average for the employees that are contributing. The amount that's gone up for the retirees is only $800. So the amount that's being put in, even with the vacancies that we've got, far exceeds the amount that's coming back out on the other side. So long term, that will create a difference. But in the short term, the city's not contributing any less with all those vacancies than they were beforehand because the compensation is so much higher than it was.
But we're,
Correct, but if we had 125 more people, you all would be
we'd
that much more.
definitely be in a
and
much
our
better
annuities have
situation.
gone up because of the pay.
Yeah.
The annuities themselves have gone up
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
extremely.
Really high.
Yes.
Because the last word of pay.
Yes.
So those are just, in looking at all this information, looking at it, trying to be objective, trying to obtain the historical information and like where we really thought we would get to in the 30-year period. If we started over today, I don't know that we could get there with the unfunded liability that we have right now. I just don't think it's necessarily possible to contribute what you'd have to contribute to get it paid off at $400 million at this point. Now, hopefully, our market will catch back up and our rate of return assumption will flip and, we'll be recruiting more. We've got, more in this class, which is encouraging. And hopefully that will start going the other direction. And until then, the city is working to commit to put in that extra bar. You're going from the 36 to the 42 to the 47 to now we're going to shoot for 52 next year. See if we can get there, and that's the only way to compensate for it at the moment if you're not bringing in the extra folks. But, I'm just very hesitant to make big changes when what we thought was going to fix it isn't even fixing it. So, but again, I don't know how good what we started with was, so.
We were a higher percentage funded when this started.
We were.
Yep, we were.
But we fixed that.
All right,
Sorry, that was a lot. I apologize for
No,
jumping
no,
on
no.
that on everybody.
That's fine.
Been holding it for.
So,
Been holding it for.
so right now, I think what the consensus is, what Jeremy and you all put it out, see what they think about the disability and those changes right there. And then we'll go, when you get that information, get back, we'll have another meeting and go from there. Does that sound good to the rest of the committee? Okay, all right. Let's move on.
In the meantime, though, to stay with that, Tommy, do we have any interest in getting a second opinion?
You mean for the actuary? I was going to hold that to last.
Okay,
Till we get all the rest of it
Nope,
done.
I apologize.
No. It's a good question. I just think let's get through the rest of this
Okay.
and see what we need, what we think, okay?
Okay.
All right. The election,
We'll just work on the next two.
okay, yeah. we'll work on
67A,
that.
540, and 560. I mean, it doesn't affect anything
Yeah.
monetarily for the pension. So
It's-
whenever the rest of it's ready, those two will be ready.
Yeah, they're, it's just, the way it is right now, it's just kind of antiquated, it needs to be simplified.
Right, and I think the SERS system reciprocating service purchase that Pletzky had mentioned also, I mean, that's just,
It's fairly straightforward if we just kind of flip-flop statutes.
yeah.
Will
So,
that catches a lot of, will the legislatures be against that though? Because then we're drawing people out of.
They might, and that might be something that needs to be litmus tested.
Yeah.
Maybe the other city leadership throughout the Commonwealth would be hesitant to lose more personnel to us, but if you're trying to make decisions that are best about your city,
maybe slide it in, nobody sees it.
maybe you just put it in there.
So, yeah, so I think all of the remaining items we will continue to work on, and including the drop, reverse drop, plop, whatever. Those things can be discussed.
Can I ask a question related to that? So, like on the partial lump sum that the CRS plan has, that they just passed, they have this calculator that's created so that you can input your own demographical information and they can figure out what. Do we have that capacity, or would we be looking at CAVMAC or whatever the actuary is doing the calculation every time? And so basically,
When are we doing, what, the SERS system thing?
so basically, if you decided you want to do a partial lump sum option, because what I'm trying to do is trying to maybe call what might not be a worthwhile endeavor to even look at. The partial lump sum option, basically what they do is they say, hey, well, if you want to get, say, a $100,000 lump sum, you have to reduce your pension payment each month by $1,000, whatever it is.
I just ran these numbers on mine, like on the system.
Correct.
Same way.
So, okay, so you understand what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That seems to me to not be potentially available to you all to do. So if I may say that we probably don't consider a partial lump sum, that has to be actuarially calculated every time, because if he ages a year, he has to change it because now his demographic system is different, right?
Correct.
And so I think either
Maybe costly.
it's costly and it just might be too much. So maybe out of all the different options we looked at, maybe a partial lump sum doesn't make a lot of sense because it would require whoever, whether it's CAVMAC, PFM, any of these other actuaries, it would probably require doing an actuarial study every time, or them creating a calculator for our pension folks to run.
Correct.
So I just want to say, if you guys are going to be looking at stuff, maybe the partial lump sum isn't the best. There are other options out there, and like I say, Mr. Green, he suggested, the reverse drop, that's out there in Missouri and also in Arizona. So those options are out there, but they don't require an actuarial factor.
Okay.
Reverse drop is in where? Arizona and?
There's one in Arizona, I believe it's in the dispatchers and correction officers plan. And then Missouri, and I think it might be MOPERS, something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I mean, you're right.
Okay.
MOPERS.
All right.
Are we going to talk about anything else? So I didn't see it on the agenda, but I didn't see anything about the 13th paycheck or whatever.
Right there, you passed over.
Oh, did I?
right
Oh, I
at
see it
the
right now.
top.
13th, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I figured that since we're
Yeah.
going to continue to discuss this, that,
Probably going to have to. But the only comment I have is, having looked at so many actuaries over the years, of course, when we first started doing it, we only did an actuary every 3 years. And things change quickly. You know, and I had, you know, I was instigated, you know, doing the yearly. And that way it keeps apples to apples a little bit better. That I can't help for believing and agreeing with you is where they said we were going to be in 2013. We're not there.
Can we ask them about that? I mean,
Yeah,
is that a
sure.
legitimate-
Absolutely. And I think
Absolutely.
we should.
We did, I mean, we sort of did last
That's
time.
what
He
I was
just
gonna
said it
say.
was,
Well,
hey, we changed the assumptions, we changed this, we
Yeah,
changed
But the
that.
thing
we changed everything.
he
Not
was
my best
here,
moment,
so
I
you
can't.
jumped him in a sense to where he wasn't prepared for that. He wasn't able to look at the 2013 actuary. So if you all have questions that specific questions, I mean,
Yeah.
we can send that to him. That way he has time to look at.
And figure out why it's so different.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe give us a good reason why, such as, you know, things have changed, assumptions have changed.
There's no
So-
doubt that some of the assumptions have
A
changed.
lot of the assumptions have changed.
They have
and
changed.
Salary has
but,
changed.
But, you know, looking at it as a poor layman, you know, the assumptions have changed, but they haven't changed drastically.
Pay has.
Hadn't got there yet, other than pay,
That's the huge one.
which is a biggie. I'm not going to say that it isn't, but you know, our returns have been, you know, if you really want to look at it, our returns have been really good. We've only had one down year, a negative, and
Big one,
and you know, everything else. I mean, we've had 2 or 3
Last
years
year
we
almost
didn't make
made
but
up for
2 or 3%.
That could have been worse, though.
But, you know, I think we've made what, up to 26% or so, which is great. I'd love to make 26%. But, you know, I mean, you know, and that should, you know, even though it's gone, you know, the salaries have gone up, I mean, we're making those kind of returns should, am I wrong in thinking it should kind of offset a little bit?
Well, why don't we just ask him?
I think we need to.
So doesn't some of his reports say when you change the mortality table, it changes it 30 million and this one changes that? And I
Oh, yeah.
understand he says too that putting them all together doesn't mean that one which was 30 is actually 30. Because that was one of the reasons he wanted to piece all these together, right, as opposed to each one being whatever it was.
Right.
So he should be able to come back with some, given time and the ability to.
Giving him the ability to review it and then
Sorry.
instead of catching him on the spot, trying to give an answer. So,
Try not to attack it next time.
Okay.
On the ghost time that just got changed, did they look at that a few times, and was there any changes in the numbers at all, or?
We asked if they could explain it to us. We went over our concerns, just what we don't understand when you change X, Y, and Z thing, why it gets, and he said, well, that's just how it works, and
Big one was the actuarial
That-
chambers that they adopted in 2018 or something as the actuarials changed or something, no.
and it didn't seem as confident as I would have liked it to be, so. Or any explanation, really. I mean, it was very vague, and I know he mentioned that somebody else in his office had worked on it, and, it just didn't seem, I don't think any of us felt real good about.
Well, that leads to the last thing about the actuary. I'm been doing this a long time, and I'm like you, Aaron. It just sometimes doesn't make sense, especially like the ghost time. I mean, we had a good go around about the ghost time, because we were just like, why is it going down that much?
Yeah.
Even though you're living longer and you're going to get paid longer, it just doesn't calculate in my layman brain.
Right.
And I mean, it may be another firm could tell us, yeah, it'll come up exactly the same. But I can't help for personally, my personal, as I'm losing a little bit of confidence.
And Tommy's talking about the CRS calculations. You can do that on their website as well. Here's how old I am, here's how much time I want to buy, what's it cost. So those calculators are, I mean, they've got to keep them up to date annually, but I don't know why
That
we
doesn't mean they're
can.
right, though. That's the
They
scary
don't give you the back end of all that stuff. They won't give you the,
They won't give it.
The ability to go
What the
in.
assumptions are.
Yeah,
Oh, no, right, yeah.
yeah, we want the formula.
Yeah.
yeah, nope, they won't let you do that. And I think
CERS kind of does give you the formula. I mean,
Who is
I've
it
ran my.
that they use?
I don't know.
I thought they
Reports.
used.
We had it. We
In some
pulled it
of
a
their
couple different
publications, it
times.
says every year you retire short, it's 7.5% less than what you thought.
Yeah, before they started having that option to plug it in online, they used to print off something.
Okay. All right. Anybody got anything else? All right. When do you want to meet again? Now, I will tell you right now, I'm going to be probably gone in February because I have finally getting some personal work down at my condo, getting it rebuilt from the damage that it's had. So I need to be down there.
Surprised you're here now.
I should have already been there, but I stayed a lot for this.
Feels like Florida in here.
But I mean, if you all want to have a committee meeting in February, I mean, I'd have no problem. You can have it. You just elect you a new chair and go from there. But huh?
You don't get to get out of it that easy.
Well, I'm trying.
The next meeting, we
You
have to go again.
can't give me. Hey, you got to give me a chance. Come on. Hey, I'm old.
try.
Remember?
Nice try.
Yeah, but
I remember when somebody made a motion and put the HR person on all kinds
I
of.
have no idea what you're talking about.
I remember that.
You all are gonna be so glad she's here though, because when I look at you and go, she'll be able to answer.
hey, we've been really good. We haven't picked on
You
her.
have been really good.
On your first
That's
meeting,
because we got a
we've been
camera.
really good to her.
That happens.
Because there's a big learning curve.
Dave, can you confirm that at some point I was the attorney for the pension board?
You were?
You were?
That was a question mark. You can't trick me.
Nobody remember.
That was a question mark.
Not been very long.
That wasn't very long.
I don't remember it, and I've been here 20.
Welcome back.
Prior to
then.
2013 or after?
What'd you say?
Prior to 2013 or
I can
after?
hear you.
Or you?
You must have been a fill-in, you know?
I was.
Okay.
Like right before Roger took it. Yeah, no, this one.
Did you bump
With
your
Jim
head or
Bray.
something?
And she came back, guys.
You must have bumped her head.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
She didn't have much choice to come back.
That's true.
All right, what say you all? I mean, basically, we try to work as best we can around your all, Linda, your and Aaron's schedules, because I know how busy you all are.
February. Is there a week that we're looking at?
Well, Tommy won't be here in February, so do you want to meet without him?
Oh, okay.
Was the question, I
It'd be a
guess.
quieter meeting.
But I mean, I think it's going to take some. It's going to take a while to
I wouldn't
get
need to.
your information out to the members and all that,
Yeah.
and then probably talk to Cab Mac, get some, get him to answer some of those questions. Probably, we want to line up the chiefs, get them in here, and talk to them. So it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. I mean, if you want to, I hate putting it off to March, but I think we probably ought to.
So with advance notice, I can push way on back my 11 to 11:30. Because y'all can't hit 2 hours to save your lives, I'm just saying.
Hey, you're in these meetings too.
I know. I do sometimes have something to say too, so, I'll take that.
Well, that's good.
But if we want to do it the 13th, after the board meeting, I can,
13th of March. Wanna do
I
it
can move.
after or before?
We will never make it before.
Okay.
I'll just tell you that right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna nix that one.
Okay, then you all want to do it after the March meeting?
I'll be in Texas that week.
Oh, okay.
So.
well,
Like to try to get all the board members here.
Well, you can do it either, then it's anything. You want to do it the 6th, or you want to do it the 20th?
Let me see what let them look at their schedules.
Of March, that
Yeah,
is.
March.
Will you be back by the 6th?
I can be.
Okay.
Who's always
I may not want to be, but I can
You can
do
zoom
it.
in.
Huh?
You can zoom in.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Tommy's
Hey,
got
boy,
a-
you know that'd be
Oh,
nice
I
of me.
thought you were talking about flying.
No.
Tommy's got a flip phone. He ain't zooming in.
At the moment, the 6th looks good, but budget hearings are not yet scheduled. So I will say tentatively, and we have enough time to let you guys know if something happens.
So why don't we just do the 20th then? Just to be on the safe side.
Well,
Well, that's gonna be budget meetings too, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Or not, I mean,
What's your schedule, Ann?
I'm good on Wednesdays. I try not to plan meetings on Wednesdays.
Okay.
Let's shoot for the
Not
6th.
work day.
then.
The 6th.
The
Yeah.
6th.
you wanna do
Can we shoot for
9
that?
a.m., 10 a.m., what do you wanna do?
Wide open.
Hey, old men
It
sleep
seems
a little
people
bit
work
late,
better
you
in the
know?
morning than afternoon because they kinda get a little bit downhill a little bit, so 9, 10 o'clock, what do you want?
Fine.
I like 2 p.m.
Can we do
2
10?
p.m.
I'm sorry,
Could we do 10?
10, yes.
Okay.
10 to noon.
All right, and that's tentative until, things change.
Tommy's buying lunch.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And how are we gonna do are you all gonna send me the questions to send to Todd? Or,
I just would like him to look at those. There's a couple of actuarial, well, we can go back as far as we want, but 2013, 2014, 2015.
I said 2014, because 2013 is when the changes, so it was,
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah, I wouldn't do it till
But
the
look
14th.
at, look at 14 and 15 and where we thought we would be versus where we are now, and just what is realistic for us not only to have anticipated in that period of time, but also going forward. Like, do we need to start having the conversation of pushing this out or layering or,
yeah, he's already said we have to have that
we
conversation.
have to have that conversation.
He was
So.
very
Yeah.
strong-willed in regards to either mirroring KPPA or doing the layering or something, because it's going to get to a point to where we're going to get in a bind and we can't get out of it.
Right.
Or moving the time out, right?
Yeah, because, well, and I was kind of reading on the layering that you can actually, you leave your unfunded liability on the 30-year amort, and then your losses and your gains, they have a different amortization, so. But he definitely said we need to look at that.
But, okay. I'm just thinking it, for layman here. If you do what I understand on the layering,
There's a
they're gonna be
definition
paying,
in
they're gonna be
there, too.
paying, basically what the actuary said. But if we have a real down market, then the city's gotta make up the difference. Or if we have a really good market, then it's a good thing.
There's not, there, if you do it, a
to me,
layering
it's like gonna be real
amortization,
violent.
there's not a smoothing kind of thing.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
That
not-
loss has its own amortization, that gain's gonna have its own amortization, whether it be 20 years or what. I mean, it's just, I can ask him to give good examples of layering.
Yeah,
'cause
because
that
I
is
mean,
what
because I can see where it could be very volatile.
Yeah. The
You know,
definition of it, I kind of pulled it off the
Yeah,
internet, is in there.
I kind of read
so-
that, and that's why I'm asking, because I could see where, okay, the city's paying 40%, and we have a really down market, and you got to come up with
Right.
$50 million. Or the next year, we have a great market, and you may not have to pay hardly anything.
Well,
I
that's
think
how
Other
it
than what
is now.
the set,
Yeah.
what the set.
Yeah.
But
what you're
that
gonna-
is my. See, I'm concerned about the city for the city.
I'm concerned for all of us.
Yeah. I just wanted to be here. See, Rock, how many more years we need to be here? Another 30 or so, and then
You get a city.
we'll be dead. So we'll be, won't have to worry about it. You all will be having to worry with it.
I was thinking one day after I died, so my wife didn't get anything.
Oh, okay.
You're on video.
That's right.
Well, if she pays enough, we can take care of that. All right, anything else? Susan, you got know what we're going to ask and all that?
I'll figure it out.
So we want to try to have the chiefs here?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Do you want to do all that on the same day? On March 6th, that's going to be a lot to discuss unless we wanted,
Well, I think it's part of it. I mean,
Well, I
you
know, but I mean, do we want them to come in on the 6th and then whatever we don't get to, we don't get to?
Well, I think if you're gonna, we'll have to. We'll set
Because
time
I don't
up.
think we can discuss all of this in 2 hours.
And I
have the
don't
chiefs
think
here.
we're gonna get finished in 2 hours. You know, I mean, get a finalized idea in 2 hours.
So we can invite the chiefs and they'll be the first on the thing.
We'll give them the first, put them first on the agenda,
It's gonna be anything but.
and then we go from there.
Book the caucus room.
Or-
Gonna have to.
Do what?
So can we book the caucus room?
We're gonna have to.
Eat off about an hour
Try not to
before we get
sweat
there.
y'all out.
The caucus room is cold.
Oh, is it?
It is
God, I'm
cold.
sitting
I
here-
brought my
I ain't
sweater up
sitting
here with me.
sweating.
It's hot in here.
Well, I got what do I got? I got a shacket on, so I'm hot anyway.
Yeah, we'll move it
That's a
to the
new word I
caucus
just
room,
found.
but
A
we
white
may not be able to
blackboard.
get everything. And we gotta see if they're
Inside,
See
available.
what, you might ask her how many.
Okay.
So we need to have we need to have the fire and police surveys back,
Yep,
as well as invite the chiefs on the next go-round.
yep, absolutely.
And then discuss whatever we can discuss.
Yeah.
All right. Anything further? Have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Aaron, second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's it.